There is a specific kind of quiet joy that only happens when the door clicks shut and the world outside becomes someone else's problem. You know exactly who you are. You've already checked the traffic app just to confirm you have nowhere to be. But here is the strange thing about this preference. Society labels it a deficiency, yet your brain registers it as a full battery. Psychologists have been mapping this terrain for decades, and the findings completely dismantle the myth that a night spent within four walls is a night wasted. The framework here is about arousal thresholds. Extroverted wiring craves external voltage, the hum of conversation, the clatter of glassware. But for the homebody, that same voltage trips the breaker. Your nervous system isn't asking for more. It's politely declining the noise. It's a condition of sensitivity, not social failure. When you cancel plans to sit in stillness, you aren't being flaky. You are executing a biological maintenance schedule. But the architecture of this comfort goes deeper than simple recharge cycles. Have you ever considered why the weight lifts the second you turn the deadbolt? It's the restoration of sovereignty. Outside that door, you are subject to the tyranny of unpredictability. The barista might get the order wrong. The stranger on the sidewalk might force a moment of awkward choreography. The office lights are fluorescent and unkind. Within your own domain, however, you are the absolute monarch of ambiance. You curate the sound frequency and the precise angle of the lamp. For anyone navigating the heavy currents of anxiety or sensory sensitivity, this curation is not a hobby. It's a survival mechanism. Sanity lives in the dimmer switch and the quiet room. Now, there's a peculiar cultural gaslighting that suggests FOMO should be a constant companion. But the evidence points toward a massive cognitive dividend for those who ignore the siren song of the loud bar. Where does the genuinely new idea come from? It rarely emerges from the cacophony of a crowded venue. It surfaces in the long, uninterrupted corridor of a 2 a.m. thought spiral, or the passive consumption of a documentary on deep-sea geology. Solitude is the crucible where introspection hardens into creativity. You aren't disengaging from life. You're engaging with a more textured internal version of it. And let's confront the performance of it all. We scroll past the highlights reel of others, the rooftop dinners, the packed concert floors, and we are told this is the measurement of a life fully inhabited. But if your version of full inhabitants is a perfect bowl of soup, a rain-streaked window, and the absence of any small talk obligations, that isn't a consolation prize. Opting out of noise is an act of high self-awareness. You have simply identified the fuel that makes your particular engine run. It's a different operating system entirely. However, we need to draw a clean, honest line in the sand. The refuge of the couch can sometimes be confused with a trench. For some, the pull to stay indoors isn't powered by a love of quiet, but by the crushing weight of departure. Depression and social anxiety can drape themselves in the same comfortable blanket, making the threshold feel insurmountable. The diagnostic question you must ask yourself is brutally simple. Does this space replenish my spirit, or does it merely contain my absence? One is the practice of peace. The other is the slow erosion of connection. For the vast majority who resonate with this, the answer is clear. You are wired for a lower decibel. You notice the way steam moves from a fresh cup of coffee. You have a precise, worn indentation on the left side of the sofa. You find the shift of sunlight across the floorboards more compelling than most conversations. This is not a waiting room for a real life. This is the main event. Tell me, when you hear the invitation ping, is it a gentle nudge toward adventure or a disruption of a very sacred, very intentional calm? Drop your answer below. I'm genuinely curious how many of us are here, quietly watching. If you want to understand the specific psychological framework that makes your mind operate this way, the kind of insight that validates why you feel more alive at midnight than noon, the next video is already waiting. It's about the specific type of intelligence most people overlook. And if you felt seen by this, do me the favor of liking this video and subscribing to Wines of Thought. It signals to the algorithm that we are having a real conversation here, and frankly, I want to keep having it with you. Click the screen now